we have agency. Remember, I said there were 64 prime departments, but then there could be a ton of sub-agencies. And then what I was told, and of course I don't have it, but top secret stuff does not show up in here. There's like another coding thing. Somebody else was trying to show it to me, but we couldn't get it all out of the system. But there's supposed to be SBDS, the Small Business Dynamic Search, is one of the older sites. Somebody said there's a way to do it in there, but I hadn't had a chance to see it. So the vendor, these are either companies they had a direct impact on, or they did it in conjunction. They did it in conjunction with somebody else. I can look up another name. Okay, because I'm about to look at the numbers now. Okay, see, so now here's the thing. Right here, a CSV file. The magic of CSV files, if you're not familiar with Excel, that's actually the database behind all databases. I mean, it's the most basic form that you can put an Excel file in, right? Yeah. See, so if you click here on the CSV file, and it's going to open up. It normally does anyway. Let's see how this goes. I'm smiling already because y'all can already tell this is probably going to be some good numbers. All right, so y'all say SDAC.
Now, don't do that. Don't pull that.
Okay, yeah, give me another one. Give me yeah, give me another color. Let's see. Well, I mean, something that's popular. That's anything that's popular here in. I can tell you now, coastal companies usually make a killing because they take advantage of all the infrastructure that's needed along the coast, and then anything near a military base normally makes a lot of money. Wasn't it?
You think they're doing federal?
You said who?
Do Miller and Miller.
Miller and Miller?
Yeah.
Okay. Miller and Miller, right? MILL?
ER.
Okay, yeah. Huntsville coming up. Oh man. Oh, I'm gonna tell you now. Oh, they numbers are huge. 93,000 contracts. Man, that's one of the biggest ones I've ever seen.
But they do small.
Man, but 93,000 contracts? Okay, let's look at it. All right, so here.
And how many other Millers are there?
Man, but all out of Huntsville? Okay, all right, so let's look at it. Again, these are all free federal government contracting websites. Okay, so their primary 10, and they filled up their 10. Department of Defense, 29,000 contracts. I can tell you, that ain't small. And in each one, and see, and then I got a thing I want to show you, so you can answer a part of me here in a second, because there's a zeroing out that I was told that when they balance out we'll look at it here in a second. All right, so GSA, man, that's huge. 14. All right, I get excited. I love data. I tell people, why guess at something when the data tells you what to do? So that's the magic of it. It's like, you ain't got to guess it. Follow the data. It's not necessarily follow the money, follow the data. All right, so they got some fantastic agencies. They've been storm chasing. All right, see, so Department of Army, Veteran Affairs, Department of Navy, man, and then they got all the MIL stuff. Let's see, okay, and they've got 4 basic companies they've done all this under, with Herman Miller Inc. is on. Okay, either way, look at one, and they have the specific NAICS codes that they primarily made their money from. See, so again, if you come here and click on the CSV file, yeah, it's huge. I can already tell you this. Yeah. Okay, it loads. This is Miller and Miller. All right, search CSV. Okay, it's not random. I always put a code in front of my files, and it helps organize the files later. Okay. And I always put a year or date on the outside. All right, so we'll go to that. Okay, we'll let that finish loading. Show in folder. All right, Miller. Yeah. Okay. All right, I've been having problems with myself, so it loads right on up. Okay, here we go. All right, so we got.
Okay.
They must have city versions.
So these were the contribute here.
So they're the procurement They're the furniture procurement. Go to.
See, that makes sense
The
why.
Army and the Department.
That makes sense on the patterns too that I was seeing for the storm chasing.
Yeah.
So stuff get damaged and they just replacing stuff.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good business to be in. I might be in the wrong business. Let's see. This is how many. Well, let me lock the categories here. So I even got a class on how to set up Excel. Let's see. Okay, so now, so here the action obligation. I was told that the zeros are never zeros, that they've reconciled the count, and that there was some kind of money paid out that was supposed to. I have never been able to find out or confirm that, but that's what I was told. So that zeros are never zeros, that it was reconciled, and that the same thing with the negatives. The negatives were reconciled on something. So I'm not sure for sure how that works on the government accounting. That's another subject matter expertise I do not have. All right, but let me see how many entries. First of all, look at what the scroll bar is up here. That's about how far we about to go down.
But it goes back to the inception of the company.
It does.
That you first did your first contract.
That is absolutely true, and you're right. So that column that says date signed. So we'll look at over the total time period. Now keep in mind that when I do the sum total, it's going to take out the red, right? See, so if I do here, and where is it? It's on home, auto sum, boom. Make sure it covered the whole thing, which it should. Okay, it does. You know. Yeah, just $1 billion. 1.69 billion.
Over how many years?
Okay, over what's the earliest date? I can filter it, but I'm just gonna scroll. Okay, so far 2005 is the earliest date. 2005, 2002. I just saw 2002.
Probably over 10, 12, 15,
Yeah, I'm in the wrong business. I need to be selling some furniture. Let's see. All right, 2002 so far is the shortest time period. You know what? You know how?
It's over 16 years.
Yeah, let me filter it and see. 78. No, longer than
Okay,
that.
1978. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's 34 years. So yeah, let's see,
They
man.
do this long.
Yeah, 78 is the
So it
earliest.
sounds like a lot of money, but if you divide over
Over 30 years,
over
yeah.
30 years.
It's only a couple $100,000, a couple $100 million a year.
No.
A couple $100 million. No. So yeah, let's see. 78, 79, yeah, they start picking up speed around 81, 82. But see, even this is what I like about it. So this is worth learning about Excel, because you could find a company that fits in your industry or according to your next code, and then see what they've done, kind of thing. And then there's ways of tracking this back to the contracts. I don't know if you can track the contracts back that far, but I know there's ways of tracking back, and I'll show that on the USA spending. Yeah, the government kind of messed me up. They changed one of my favorite websites like in the last month, and I'm still learning how to navigate it. And they took out the good parts. I was telling Don that the other day. I said I think what they did is they tried to make it more phone friendly, so you can see it better on the phone. But I rarely ever look at stuff on the phone. I look at it through the through the desktop or laptop. All right, so again, this is Federal Procurement Data System. That's FPDS. It's been interesting. There are people call me sometimes just to research information like this, just to see what's out there on just that part by itself. Because Bill Gates wrote a book in the 90s called Business at the Speed of Thought. And first of all, fantastic book. To me, it's still relevant today. So if you can get it, get it. But one of the best quotes he had in there is "Ride the back of a giant." That's literally one of the best. He's got a whole section in there. And if you know the story of Bill Gates, you know IBM was his client. You know his parents worked at IBM. He got to ride the back of a giant. And the reason I say that, why not use FPDS to do that? Why not find out what the giant is doing, how the giant moves, and then find a way to get in. So and again, you do it by the numbers. And you're gonna become a subject matter expert just in trying to research and understand what their strategies have been. And what I like even seeing that it's been over 30 years is to encourage people to let them know some of these things take time. This stuff don't happen overnight. So that's an unrealistic expectation, is think that, hey, it only took me 2 weeks to get in. but it may take you another 60 to 90 days to win your first contract. And that's if you're dedicated, to it as a process as a whole. All right, so any questions so far on any of those? And then I'm going to find this piece, usaspending.gov. I love to show this site, and then I'm going to get back to the folders. This used to be my absolutely favorite site, and they changed it up. And I I think on one of the PowerPoints that I'm going to show, I'm going to show the original site. But this, when I say literally they just changed this, I mean literally like in the last month and a half they changed this website. But it was arranged completely different than this, so it doesn't even look like the previous site. And so they have this little home page looking thing right here. This screen right here, that is how the old site used to look. So it still does have a component that's in there, but it doesn't. Even that doesn't appear the same way. So we're gonna try this. What it is in this site, all the government agencies are supposed to report all their information to GAO, the General Accounting Office, right? And then they take and they use this site to display how that again. So again, and for those who always think of everything in regards to money, there ain't no doubt about it. Money's a byproduct of value. And but my point is that this is actually a data site. They just representing their money. All right, so they got a thing on here say award search, advanced search, and then inside of here, and even this is weird how they've got this set up. There's a thing for keyword right here, and then at least unless they change this as part of this site, I would never have anyone research the current year's budget or information. Sometimes that data doesn't get submitted in until months after the fiscal year is closed. So by now, fiscal year 2017 ended September 30th, so all the numbers should be in. So I'm going to pick 3 years, the last 3, well, I'm going to pick the last 4 years. If I go up here to keyword search, okay, and you were saying before, what was the next code for? It was a site prep, right? Oh, let's do landscaping, because I know for sure that won't work. Landscaping. Yeah, they used to do a fantastic job on this thing of showing that it would run the total and then it'll show you one long total. But now they changed it up, so I'll show you here. But I used to use this site to show people what was the actual opportunity. And then on here too, just like then I put the word landscaping in, I selected the years, I gave it no other requirements. You still have to come in here, hit submit search. Okay. And I know very well there's, okay, there we go. Okay, so now this gets to what I was talking about earlier about how substantial everything is. Well, now they just go ahead and give it to you almost like an Excel spreadsheet. They used to not do that. It used to be a total. You can see the entire total for every way that the government spent money on landscaping. See, so in here where you got 37,000 in the last 4 years, 37,000 contracts have been awarded for landscaping, right? And then you got the grants component, direct payments, loans. Those are the other. I've never been able to figure out any consistent pattern to the other, but these other 4 are the 4 primary ways that the government issues money for services. So now inside of here, I think it seems like I can never remember which one. There is a bar chart that they now show you. They did not have that on the previous one, so it takes me a second to remember where is it. I think it may be here. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's going to put a bar chart there. Okay, or it's further down. It did not have this page before, so I don't know what process they ran through, but it'll show it here in a second by state. Scroll down and see if it's. I'm trying to remember how I got to the bar chart. Okay, while that's loading, let me get the PowerPoint too. I know I moved it into. I created a folder just for this class. I want to make sure I have that. And I don't know why that's taking so long to load. All right, it's still loading. Okay. Let's see. The darker, obviously, the more money, right? So Texas, California, West Virginia, or is that Virginia? Those all had contracts totaling more than $562 million. So if we look at Alabama, that's kind of it's not too light of a color. So what that's 226 to 338. million. But there's a bar chart. Again, like I said, they just changed it. Where's the dang bar chart? County, congressional district. Let me try to find it. Is it time? Years and quarters, maybe. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. This is what I was looking for. All right, see, so now, 2017, $2 billion in landscaping contracts. And then you've got, and of course, the year before that. So, of course, they raise the budget every year. That's why a lot of times, when I don't care what side of the house, Democrat, Republican, or liberal, I don't care. All that they're talking about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I'm like, they're never going to cut that federal budget. There's too many people living off of it. They're never going to do it. That's why they raise it every year. See, so, it's just, it generates small business. It was set up for small businesses. It was not, the challenge is that they changed some of the laws about 10 years ago that allows large corporations to compete in some realms as a small business. And then, by the way, too, typically in the federal government space, which it's going to be one of your files too, they have a thing called the size table. Is anybody familiar with the size table? The federal size table is a small business. Not, if you think of a small business, you think of some little small corner store. No, depending on your NAICS code, a small business can be up to $70 million.
I can do small.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I'd love to be called a small business at $7 million any day. So yeah, that's not a bad day. And but they call it the federal size standard table. Yeah, and see, I'll go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's called the size standard table.
Yep. Yeah, I did say it wrong earlier. Size standard table, exactly. And so we'll look at something real quick. And
Like for engineering.
yeah, so the engineering was big, and
Then the military, then you go to
yeah, soybean farming is 750,000. And let's look at some of the bigger ones. Size standard.
Go to construction.
Construction was 24, right?
Yeah, I think
24. 24. Yeah, you know what? Let's look at all of them. Let me Google it.
23.
Okay, 23. Dang, how did I skip down that fast? Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah. All right. So, construction of buildings, your small business up to $36.5 million. Heavy and civil engineering, still $36.5 million. Well, the numbers kind of look low. And
Just on that next code.
oh yeah, just on that's right. That's right. Good point out. And so no, seriously, he's right. It's that specific NAICS code. So if you were doing concrete, $15 million, you still consider it a small business. So which they're going to try to give you some type of preferential treatment, because small businesses collectively are the largest employers in the United States. There's just no way around it. And so yeah, inside of that can't be all the NAICS codes though. Is that all of them for construction? I'm missing something. Maybe, yeah, I guess it is. I get it. My mind is thinking through the census website and NAICS codes. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I'm quick to tell people your vote never stops voting. The people you vote for go into committees. The committees designate the budgets. It's just, they're forever, somebody's calculating this up. They probably sign it. It's probably the same thing every year, but either way, it has to be voted on. And so that's why, we hear about the bigger committees, all the foreign affairs committees and all this other stuff. No, all of this stuff has committees, and they're determining the budget at all times. All right, see, so there. And yeah, but it's going to be on the jump drive. It's in there. It's one of the files that's in there too. But you know what? In fairness, I have not updated it. And in fact, I don't know how often they do, to be honest with you. Okay, yeah, I do have 2012. Now I know I got that one. Okay, so yeah, I got that one. So yeah, I don't even. That's surprising that they had. What's that? 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, I guess it doesn't need to be changed. And okay, so capture management. I was saying earlier, your capability statement is your corporate. Is your federal resume, and so you got to be able to take. FBO. I did skip one. Let's see. FPDS. The ad hoc report was the Excel file that I just showed you. So that's what they call the ad hoc report. FBO, which is we went to it earlier, but that's the federal biz ops. There is a great, yes sir. Oh yeah, the shout out I keep seeing it every now and then. Hold on, pull it around this way. And all right, so FBO daily. Now, if there's any third party company that I've been impressed with, and you think by now they would have updated it, but they haven't. So there's a website called FBO Daily, And I don't know, and I'm surprised they've been bought out by the big boys. It's called FBOdaily.com. Now, in the beginning, I haven't done it in a while, but I was comparing this site to another site. I mean, to FBO itself. And so they have FBO Archives. I'm pretty sure that's the one. This is the first time I've gone this way. And it's called Lauren Data. I don't know who Lauren is, but Lauren did a good job. And so when you come in here, you go to 2018. This is actually the website that helped me see the folder structure. So if you go to 2000, you go to May. Then right now it's the 15th. They get tomorrow's published contracts out today. There's a way to do it in FBO. I had to have somebody walk me through it. It took a bunch of work. And so I'm not sure how they do it, but they already got tomorrow's contract. So you at least get 1 day jump, if you come into it. So if you go on the 16th of May, now I've compared it time and time again. It doesn't always match. I mean, it doesn't get like the 2,000 to 3,000 that come up in FBO. So I don't know why they pick the ones they pick, but it seems to be you can't go wrong starting with FBO Daily. And there it is that I was talking about earlier. Sources sought, the different classifications of the contracts: solicitations, modifications, awards, documents, special notices, and totals. Sources sought, again, they're just trying to find out, can somebody do this work? This is not a contract. It's not even issued as a pre-solicitation. They're just trying to see. They use this from what we were trained on. They use this to try to find out, do they need to make this a special contract? Is it woman-owned, veteran-owned, hubs-owned? Again, you'll learn all those words inside of each one. What I try to do in this initial one, because I have a tendency to hit people with a lot, but I only got to do it with you once. I mean, in other words, there ain't no more or less than this than I've been able to see. So once you get used to it, you kind of like, I know what he's talking about. And okay, so sources sought, the solicitations, and I'm gonna keep this one up. I'm about to say what Dr. Ghost is like. You keep saying it, but we really can use one of these to look at what the RFP looks like. So if we have time, we can go. We can actually. I'll show you how we actually structure the RFP. If not, I'll do it in another class.
R2.
R2. Oh yeah, it's another class or two. And I can't help but throw this plug in there. The lady who was teaching me how to do this, she had an attorney in Dallas who had a location in Dallas, Houston, and Oklahoma, and he made a bunch of money. And but he had writers, and this is a big thing too. If you're not a writer, it is worth hiring somebody who likes to write. I mean, who likes to write technically. It is worth it. I mean, but he had a great technical writer, but the process that they were using was to print out the contract. So the very first time that I saw her printing out the contract, I was like, what are you doing? And she was like, I'm printing it out. We're getting ready to work on the contract. I was like, so she told me about how the federal government had it set up where you have the gold team and all those different things. I was like, send me that file. And so she sent me the file. I have an Excel process that I've used for proposals over the years. I put it into the Excel system, and I broke it out according to everybody that was going to work onto the project. It took me about 45 minutes. And matter of fact, I didn't tell her what I was doing because she was still printing them out. I don't even think it was like 600 pages. I don't even think she had gotten a page, 40 or 50 or somewhere around there. It was a bunch of pages. And when I showed her what I did on the computer, she said, "You just saved us a week of work in 45 minutes." I didn't know why she was printing it out. And so we taught the lady in Dallas how to use the system. That lady went from probably doing 1 or 2 proposals every 2 or 3 weeks. She dated was doing 3 a week, but the lady could write her. I mean, she could write. She could write. So and he was winning a boatload of them too, because he would go out. His first round, he went out and tried to get training contracts first. So he ended up getting a bunch of training contracts all around the country, and which no telling what he's turned that into. All right, so if we get a chance, we'll come back and I'll show you from one of the contracts in here, because this is actually where it started. She found the contract in FBO Daily, and then that she was printed out, and that's why I was like, keep it electronic. I was like, it's already there. And of course, hopefully we're going to have some software to go with this in the next year. So that we're going to create. All right, so now back to the little outline, because that's what I consider this to be, is the outline. So you got I left off at FBO Daily, your capability statement. There are a ton of templates out there for capability statements. If you pretty much Google capability statements and just hit images or something, and then there's videos where people put them out there, it is worth doing, because to have it is your resume in the federal space, but you technically need one for each NAICS code. This is what the challenge is, but it's worth it. It's one of those things where if you do it once, you ain't got to pretty much do it again. So it's going to be there and it's going to be done. Now, capture management. Oh, by the way, too, most of these folders, Yeah, okay, yeah. Most of these folders, I have samples of them inside. I have sample files inside of it. So the capability statements, these were some of the best ones that I found or saw, and and then one of our best vendors or partners or clients has a fantastic website, and he's got some stuff out there on his. So I'll give y'all his site here too in a second. And his name is Kenneth Thomas, and he just Kenneth. We tell Kenneth to do something, Kenneth get on it right on time. But let me tell you, he's a great example of what I'm talking about, having somebody that can write. His wife likes writing. So anything happens, his wife instantly kind of gets on it, that kind of stuff. So, you again, you got a writer around you, that's a winning combination. And capture management, the whole thing with capture management is, and there's no way around it, and I got it in a more symbolism than anything else. It's a process. Researching these contracts, I just have not found a shortcut to that at all. Some days you're going to find what you're looking for, some days you're not. So that's why it's worthwhile to have your 4 or 5 primary NAICS codes, and you're pretty much looking for contracts in those 4 or 5 every single day. I'm trying to think of one of the weirdest, not even necessarily the weirdest thing, but probably one of the biggest. And we didn't have anybody in Florida, I think, that could bid on it. I think 3 years ago they had a $1 million contract in Florida for removing pictures in federal buildings. Sounds like, ooh, $1 million to remove pictures, until you realize some of them pictures way up high. Yeah, so you got to have equipment, machines, people. You got to have drills and all this other stuff. So, and that's why people get big-eyed by it. They have these big old contracts and all this stuff, and I'm like, look at the details. Like all of a sudden now, that mobilization, the capitalization, and all that stuff you got to do in the structure. But again, the Excel process that I have, it requires you to go through every single line and verify whether you think you can do that or not. If you can't do it, you're probably about to waste your time. All right, so certifications, the self-certified now, to go back to what you were saying, in the federal space, when you go through the registration, they have the initial certification. You just say who you are. But both for women then for the women, you have to go back to the small business. When you self-certify for women, it's the WOSB, Woman-Owned Small Business. They give you that one just for coming out to the website. Just for coming out. That's anything, African American or Caucasian or anything, Asian, doesn't matter, or Hispanic. But then you have to go back to SBA. SBA will then take you through a more rigorous process and give you what they call the EDWSB, depending on how much you make every year. And I think it's like, as long as you make less than $75,000, as long as your own salary or income is $75,000, then you got to have asset. There's some kind of rating they use. So then they will get you under the EDWSB, which is the Economic Disadvantaged Woman-Owned Small Business. Yes, sir.
Is the ED advantage, is it worth that compared to just being a woman?
Yeah, let me tell you. See, so the whole thing, think about it, they're already shorthanded. So they try to do as much as they can to already have people qualified that they can just pull you out and say, hey, this person can do that contract. So the more you go through the rigors with the federal government, it helps them. I'm telling you, it ain't just one person we done had told us that they get these contracts out. There's several of these contracting officers like, look, we have to maintain these budgets. And they said, come June, like I said, I was told before this, it was September. But Eric and some other people here recently said, no, bro, we get them contracts out in June. They said, because we don't even want to risk not having nobody fulfill them contracts. So if it...
To qualify people.
To qualify people. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. They just giving it out, not doing the work. You got to do the work. You absolutely got to be qualified to do the work. All right. See, so now, but because of the Gulf War, they bumped up veterans. So there's a self-certified for veterans, which is VOSB, is veteran-owned small business. So how many veterans we got? Any veterans?
So Mike, why don't we just all our capabilities? We got CEO. Let's go get something over there.
Well, let me tell you. No. Hey, look. Hey, can I pause this? You think I'm playing? Look. Let's put a pin in that. We come right back to that. You think I'm playing? I told them I would love to do this every day. All right, so
They said they come back.
Yes, y'all put y'all suit and ties on, stay in the office in the afternoon, I will make it happen.
Don't you know? I'll tell you. I'm all right with that too. I'm a behind the scenes person. But I don't care. I'll tell you. No, they capability statements by itself. It was on the charts.
That's true.
Yeah. And then there really is another set of software too, but we'll get to that too. All right, so the
DL the out.
huh? Send it from out. Hey, all right. If you're a veteran on, let me tell you what I find, and it's almost disappointing in some ways. A lot of guys who've been in the military, and I say this everywhere I go, if you know anyone who's ever been in the military, and surprisingly, in some cases, even if you were dishonorably discharged, you still can be a service connected to the VA. Not all, but some. So even if a person has been dishonorably discharged, they still can go get service connected. And what I mean by service connected is that they're allowed to come to the VA for some kind of services. Yes. So
what about our children?
now, you know what? If you're 100%, there's supposed to be some stuff, but I ain't 100%, so I don't know exactly how that works. I'm looking at you. You know, I know. So some people are. If there's like they've been over backwards if you're 100%. And I mean, for your kids, for all that stuff, there's ways to get scholarships for kids, all kind of stuff that I know of. And but inside the veteran piece, what happens is if once you're service connected, and you have the ability to be a disabled veteran owned small business, and they bumped their certification up above women. Women was above that. So now, if you're a disabled veteran, DVOSB is the acronym for it. If you're a DVOSB, and this part I was saying, if you know anyone who's ever been in the military, whatever they went to the hospital for while they were in, they can most likely be service connected now that they're out. And then that gives them a percentage. And now that can be both compensated or non-compensated, but either way they get a percentage. That bumps them up in the in the federal contracting space. So I run into guys who were in Vietnam and they were like, man, I ain't never been in the VA. I'm like, how? Why? I'm like, bro, you willing to give your life for this country?
You
go
take the advantage of
go get all the stuff you deserve. Classes, workshops, money, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? You signed to give your life up. So, now there is no work without the word co-work. Everybody say the word work, but all work is co-work. All work is co-work, right? The reason I say that, anyone who's in business and they only thinking about, man, I do everything. That's never the case. Now, you may do a lot, but you won't do everything. So my point is, even if that's not your forte, then just be the CEO, and let everybody else do the work. And share. I'm telling you, I was taught when I was young, you don't get rich without making somebody else rich. You don't get successful without making somebody else successful or wealthy. And I'm very spiritual. General. So capture management is certifications, business development. Now, business development, when I first hear that word, that's relationship building inside of businesses. It still does exist in the federal space. Yes, oh yes. Yeah, if it's a very competitive contract, you're going to show up at somebody's meeting. And you may have to travel a little bit to get there, but it'll be worth it. Because sadly, what do they call them? Why am I drawing a blank? It ain't like I haven't. In the municipality space, they have where they bring all the contractors in.
Pre-bid?
Yeah, that's a word.
Pre-bid?
Pre-bid, yeah. So I'm sorry, in the business development. Yeah, I know. So yeah, the same as the pre-bid, the federal government has the same kind of thing. So they'll bring everybody in and say, all right, this is where this is going to go down. Before anybody bid on this contract, blah, 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 they go through it. They'll let you come on the site. In some cases, they'll let you walk through it. In other cases, they won't. They'll be like, nope, it's a secret site or private site or whatever. They're just going to explain it to you. So relationship building is still significant. It's very significant. And everybody wants to feel special. So, contracted officers that I know of, at least I ain't heard of nothing. If it's happening, I ain't heard anybody talk about anybody getting special gifts. I went to a luncheon thing with a federal person, and they were like, they had to make sure we all said and did certain things the whole time we were out eating. So I mean, in other words, it seemed like maybe I've had a limited experience. But my point is, they ain't trying to look for nobody to bribe them, but they do like being acknowledged. So.
Other ways to build relationship other than giving and driving.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm telling you now, I tell people in a heartbeat, I will snitch on you. I'm not going to jail. I ain't going to jail for your time. I ain't going to do mine. I'm not going to do yours. I'm not going to do anybody. I'm telling you that now. I'm telling you in advance, so don't tell me nothing you don't want me to tell anybody else. Yeah, you don't want. I ain't doing your time. I ain't doing mine. So all right. So contract management is this process all by itself. I mean, at that point, it's a process to babysitting the process, and things do change. But what do they change? I mean, literally, if all of a sudden everybody have a bunch of questions, they would delay that contract. It's just like in the municipalities. They do the same thing. If you got a lot of inquiries, I think they realize at that point, we didn't write this contract up right. So then they go back and...
This RFP.
Yeah, the RFP. Yeah, exactly. They'll say, yes, ma'am.
Well, we had an instance with somebody in Birmingham where the Jefferson County Commission they've always been writing up their bids the same way. And the bids have always been over $50,000. But they did one recently, and the guy that wanted it bad didn't win, so he took it before the general contractors board, and license board, and said that the people that won the contract were not general contractors. Well, the board finds the individual that bid it on the bid, but it wasn't in the bid that they had to be a general contractor.
It was specified.
It was specified. Everything was specified. It was open
So
bid.
that's state law versus local law.
Yeah, I can't think of anything in the federal space you'd have got away with that. There's
Because
a,
the agency itself made the mistake,
Yeah.
yeah.
right? So
Not the-
Oh, no, that I've heard of in the federal space. If the agency makes it,
The agency-
it'll cause a
because the
serious
state
scramble.
changed the law, but the local agency didn't change their procurement practice to
Yeah.
reflect the changes in the law.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know a lot more about city municipality
Why
procurement.
should the vendor be fined and not the municipality?
See, I'd have to look at all those details and stuff. I'm telling you, I know a lot more about municipal
Because
procurement.
so one other thing is, and I have to check and see,
Mhm,
is
yeah.
that sometimes they would say in the contract
Yeah.
that you are required to adhere to all local, state, and federal law as a
Yep.
catch-all.
Yep.
Sometimes they do
Yep.
that, right?
Yeah.
And then once they do that, so if there is an error or something like that, even
Yeah.
if they
They
made
cover
it,
it.
you
Yeah.
still have to catch the error.
Yeah.
For example, with LDOT, when they take out quantities, they show you all
Yeah.
the quantities, but they tell you, make sure you
Yeah.
still take the adjustments. So if the quantities are messed up, and then you use those quantities.
Yeah.
Oh, it was 10 versus 5. Well, that's your mistake because you should have had
Yeah.
drawings and did your own quantity takeoff and stuff like that.
The reason I'm kind of stuttering, because I've monitored a lot of local procurement stuff over the years. Yeah, they can get you on every little thing. But in the federal space, they almost give you a chance to correct it first. But in the
A right to cure.
But in the locals, they want you down. You can go down on technicalities. Yeah, and I'm telling you, the federal has so much more flexibility. But at the same time, it gets back. The agency themselves could come up with 1,000 reasons why they don't go through the whole process. I have seen that. Well, all of a sudden, literally, the companies won, and then they delayed, and then canceled it altogether. And that person was really counting on that contract. And matter of fact, the guy I was talking about earlier, KT, I'm pretty sure that's what happened to recently. So yeah, the contract management part of it is not, nothing is certain until you get that first check. And then this thing I can't believe I waited this long to say this part of the typical contract in the federal space can cover 15 to 30 days in response. Literally, you have someone come out, you be like, they only giving us 15 days to respond, but they'll turn around and award that contract within 45 to 60 days. So now, if it stays on course, that's what we've seen typically. City stuff, that stuff can get into some serious delays. The government be under some pressure on most of their contracts where they're like, we got to have this thing fulfilled. You know, their processes rely on so many other processes, where the city may have something that's just totally isolated to just that, whatever it is that they need. So the federal government is going to, when it's working, it is 45-day cycles. You pretty much could be rewarded a contract and get in. Oh, this part I want to say to people too. I've only learned this because my first thought process is what I'm about to say. I always think professional development because I'm like, professional development is the easiest thing to get into. But I've learned over years that's intimidating to a lot of people. Professional development side of it is intimidating. Like, I got to go in and train somebody and teach. And I was like, man, that's the easiest thing to do. Well, it's easy for me because I like it. But I'm realizing there are a lot of people who don't like it. So they don't even consider the professional development side. So instead of mobilizing all these resources, your subject matter expertise has a value. And they're always asking for somebody to train on it. So I try to get people to package their knowledge base.
What NAC code is that?
Professional development shows up under every NAICS code.
Really?
Yeah, every NAICS code needs some element of professional development at some point. And because they're always doing some kind of training or manuals have to be updated. The lady who trained me, her biggest contract was $15 million. And she said, Mike, she said, they paid me to go out and, she said, they paid me to do nothing but send out mailers. She was like, I had to send out postcards, do all this other stuff inside it. All right, so yeah. All right, so now, all right, contract management. Again, that's a whole thing in there. Contract teams. I kept the contract teams in there, but when I first put this into this folder, that's what she was trying to explain to me how they need to be printed out. So yes, you do have different people responsible for different sections of the contract. If you got a person who understands financials and all that stuff, then obviously you need somebody to do it. Now, this was all the preliminary stuff. So contract, you get awarded the contract, now you got all the issues of what mobilization takes. The government typically does not give you any money up front. There are very few contracts that they do. The rest of them, that you're awarded, I mean, you don't get the money until really 30 to 45, what's the normal pay thing? Why am I drawing a blank on that? Yeah, all the pay. Yeah.
But some agencies, because of small business, they would do net 15. Like the Department of Energy does net 15.
Guess the man would know. And Fed bid. Now, if there's a shortcut to the federal government space, it is Fed bid. Again, there are so many third-party companies out there. There's no way for us to ever know which ones are serious or legit, but this seems to be the best one. So I got some people in Memphis, this is all they want to do. And Fed bid is the government's equivalent to eBay. I'm dead serious. And what happens is, and this is what I didn't learn until recently, contracts that are not awarded through FBO get pushed over to Fed bid. So in Fed bid, they're like, I don't care, let's just get somebody to do it. So when you come in to Fed bid, it is worth it. There's a ton of videos and stuff out here on how to navigate. I don't know if they put them out or somebody else put them out, but there's videos on how to go in here. And so the lady whose videos that I watch, what she did was, it was in Georgia, South Georgia somewhere, and they needed pens for a National Guard, ink pens for a National Guard event. And so they put out, like, they needed 100,000 pens. She went and ordered them somewhere in China, got them all. She figured out the cost, submitted it, and was awarded it for just giving them nothing but ink pens. See, again, federal government workers don't do the work; they facilitate the work. This is all about, the entire federal space is all about small businesses or somebody who has the capacity to do the work. So Fed bid is one of the few third-party companies that I'm like, oh no, they spot on. I don't know. All the other ones, as soon as you sign into sam.gov, almost the next day, you're going to have somebody emailing you, calling you, saying, we can do some of this work for you. I don't know. If you find out which ones are legit, call me. Y'all ain't getting a bunch of emails? Sure, I can show you a bunch of them in mine already. Sam.gov?
I register every year. You have to update it.
Oh, now, after a while, I guess they stopped submitting it to you, but I bet you that first year they did. You didn't get anything? You gave them the right email address? So, I don't know. Then you want to look at it. No, I'll tell you, I get them every day. Huh?
Is that about?
Yeah, because I'm like, there's no way for me to tell which ones are legitimate.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm like, I ain't even got time to research them, to figure out which ones. Okay, so Fed bid, I was there on Fed bid. There's a ton of case studies out there. I got a technique that I put in place online. I'll show it to you real quick. So when you go, you know what? I know it's kind of late to ask, but are we taking a break or anything?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna keep on going. All right, see, so now, and you said, give me the next code. I mean the actual job description. No, it was a site prep. Okay, so watch this. Federal, I'm intentionally. This is something I never been. Site preparation. Okay, my spelling is not like this. Contract. Okay, here's the magic to Google, and literally I had to figure this out. So, like I said, I love researching, but PDFs used to come up all the time, and they'd be long. I was like, man, there's got to be like the Cliff Note versions or something. I don't care what it is that you're trying to learn, right? If you put in, no matter what it is you're trying to learn, you put in whatever it is you want to learn, and at the end put PPT. You know what PPT stands for? PowerPoint. Somebody usually has made a PowerPoint about it. So, right, so you hit PowerPoint. And look right there. Contracting 101 for non-acquisition personnel, right? Construction phase management. Foul mouth. Is that what it is? Foul mouth. Yeah. See, so, but let me tell you, here's a trick to this thing. Right there in the corner where it says PPT, that is somebody's PowerPoint. Now, if that little header is not there, the PowerPoint is built inside of the document. I'm gonna open up a couple of them too. And then typically if it says PDF and you put in PPT, somebody saved it as a PDF, but it's still a PowerPoint, right? See, so I have been able to get an enormous, I say it all the time, smarter than what you are, smart is what you do.
Yeah, but the caution on that with using Google and things like when you do those such as, you make sure the source of the information that you're getting is legitimate, and that They'll be references.
And not some freshman in college shit, he trying to put a paper together with limited knowledge. But I'm gonna show you the trick.
Or just information that's not necessarily accurate and valid.
And I'm gonna show you an extra trick to that because I figured that part out too, right? And okay, so construction under self-determination. So I'm just gonna show you, and that's just a random PowerPoint I just pulled up that fast. But there's preparing the bids and proposals, and so it's already loaded. So watch this. Let me see what it looks like. And most of the time, and this is, and one thing about it is I'm never trying to plagiarize, but I got to get research, I got to get information, I got to get data, I got to have a starting point. So the reason I'm saying that 99% of these PowerPoints you can change. They have no edit lock or anything like that. You really can change them. And okay, my system is moving slow. All right, let's try that again. Show in folder. Okay, here we go. And then there it is right there. Usually the smaller the number, it doesn't have any pictures, but the bigger the number, they have full pictures. This one probably got a lot of text. I'm forever looking for patterns. That's the instructor in me. The guy who trained me on how to work on C-130s. He and it's been 20-some years, but we talk every day. And yeah, he and I talk every day, and I used to tell him all the time that you had to start fixing that plane before you got to it. So if they called you and told you that plane had a problem, your mind already had to be processing, okay, what all the possibilities are. And so to me, this is the same thing. You're like, I'm trying to get enough information just to kind of get a realm of whatever it is. Okay, construction contracting under self-determination, chapter 4. So something in here probably, has got some information or whatever we were looking for inside of it. But again, this is a editable type thing. Ending, counting, country, construction. Okay, so yeah, all the differences. Let me see. What does the sub part cover? Okay, yeah. Like Don was saying, you're going to vet it out. You'll get used to going through and figuring out which ones are valid and which ones are not.
Oh, yeah, right there, more. They're talking about the C-farm.
Yeah, see, I'll be honest with you. What is that? That's the first time I've seen it.
Back up. Oh, it's in the front. Oh, yeah. First slide.
Oh, you said the first one?
It said 25 CFR.
Okay, so the code for federal regulations.
Correct.
Okay.
Chapter 5.
Okay. That's what you're saying, C-farm. Yeah.
So they're discussing the C-farm.
So he's discussing a very specific area,
Yeah.
just for construction by itself.
Talking about the federal regulations, same thing.
See, this is why you hang out with people smarter than you. Because I just skip right on over there. All right, so no, but hey, good stuff. Because I didn't know how significant this PowerPoint was, but now this is a very significant PowerPoint. So, all right, so here we go. Let's see. But you see, that's one of the techniques in regards to just narrow it in. And then what Donna was saying about the classified even more. Once I started doing this process, I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna get the best, I might as well. if I'm gonna get some information, I might as well get it from the best. So who did I add in there? Harvard. Why not get it from the people who say they do everything? So now all of a sudden, you may get PowerPoints that were presented at Harvard inside of there. So that's the type of thing. So now these usually come with references. Somewhere in a PowerPoint, they'll have a whole slide saying this is where all the references are. And you ain't got some freshman in college who just put this PowerPoint together.
So applying for government contract and opportunity.
Applying right there.
Yeah,
See, that's a PowerPoint that's been converted to a PDF. Most likely, that's what it is. And then there's a free website to convert the PDF back to PowerPoint.
and PowerPoint can be converted to
It'll do it both ways. Matter of fact, I keep it up here. Online-convert.com right there. So it's a 5-page. Oh no, this is a true PDF. Somebody must have used it as a PowerPoint. Yeah. See, that's why I was trying to avoid. That's why I came up with that technique. I was like, I don't want to read all that. So, but yeah, there's probably some good information in there too. See, so yeah, the references. Since I mentioned it, this is the website real quick for converting. Online-convert.com, and that'll convert the files. All right. So now the next folder. All right. So that's a technique for looking at the case studies. The joint ventures. This stuff starts getting into the more. What can I? What I'm trying to think of. These are the more advanced levels. The joint ventures and everything. So what happens is, from my understanding of the way the joint venture structure is set up, the large corporations, after a while, they try to joint venture with smaller corporations, right? In other words, they'll put your name on everything, so you can't go wrong learning about the joint venture process. But that gets you back to the FPDS website. You can go in and find out what agencies, what places they've been getting their money from, and you got multiple ways to get to that corporation.
One good thing about federal contracting is, as a small business, you can be prime. And
From
in
go.
a large company, you can be a subcontractor or your team member. You got some JV. So once you put your team together, their capability become your capability.
Exactly.
So the challenge is the contract management of that particular opportunity.
That's a whole class by itself. I know the overview, but I don't know that much. So that's the man that's going to be doing that class. So the next thing. All right, so joint venture, legal. I tell people I do a lot of business consulting. I saw that I had a chance to look at some of you guys' business plan. The structure for every business plan is executive summary, company summary, products, services, marketing, management, legal, financial, funding, contingency plan, damage control. Now I said that quick, but I tell people every single thing in your business creates a legal concern. Every single thing in your business creates. So if you like, I don't want to be concerned about that, at least try to be aware of it. You know, to try to act like it's not there is the worst thing in the world you can do, and you can't even claim that it blindsided you because you should have been aware of it. You know, so every single thing in your business creates a legal concern. The typical legal information I've ever seen in federal contracts is pretty standard. They write the same things to protect the government, and then so it's not like you ain't got to be an attorney, but you're gonna see that same information again. That's always going to say, this is our disclaimer, this is what your obligation is, your responsibility is. But it's worth getting used to that the first time. Okay, so now, local certifications, this actually is talking about the DBE programs, the MB programs, whatever the city calls it. Like I said, I've done a lot of work in Atlanta. Just about every county in Atlanta has its own internal certification program. Then you got the city programs. Department of Transportation, who's building with, and just about every state usually has the lead programs for the entire state. So they have a whole mixture of things that are going in there. So yeah, there's just no shortcut to it. I think I broke that. Okay, yeah, the SB, WBE, MBE, DBE, SDB. I don't know. You just have to get used to the local municipality. Marketing. The thing about the marketing just never stops because sales never stops. The bids, the clients, the mentor protege, past performance, pre-award, post-award, all those different things. Those are. If you've been awarded the contract, you covered the other 29 steps I've been going through. The proposals themselves, I think I have one of the mock-ups in here. If not, I'm going to have to find it. And I will show y'all the outline for the proposal. And I hate that Donald left. I mean, once he comes back, I'm going to see if he wants me to do one. And then I'll show y'all the... he said no? Oh, okay, I was going to show... can I at least show the outline for it? Yeah.
Why are they staggering you like that?
We tired.
They said we got to be out of this room by
Do it.
30 minutes.
Seriously? Oh man, okay. All right, let me go and get it. All right, so let's see.
10-3, so we're already over.
All right, okay, so let me tell you, if nothing else y'all get out of this, go see your local SBA rep. I mean, like immediately. I mean, or if you have not registered in the federal government, everybody is registered in SAM? Okay, so good. So at least if you registered in SAM, you got your Dun & Bradstreet?
Yes, sir.
Y'all got those for free, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
didn't pay nobody.
Yeah, don't pay for that.
A lot of folks out there do.
Yeah, they definitely do. And then there's so FBO, you cannot go wrong using contacting people in FBO and let them walk you through it. So if there's like some takeaways and stuff to go through it, then it's at least that, definitely have that process in place. And then, the key, I think, I want to try to give y'all something that you can talk to your SBA rep about, that they can do it. Check with them on if you're self-certified but you have not gone through the additional certifications. That's one of the main things you need to ask them about. What do I need to do to kind of upgrade my certification? And for, sadly, it is what it is. If you're not a veteran, I literally have had couples come to me and they talk to me about something, and the husband, who will not be a veteran, but the business is in his name, right? I'm quick to tell them, your wife needs to go get a business in her name. It just is what it is. The government doesn't seem to care. As long as it's a woman-owned small business, that kind of thing, that's able to do it. So,
but you still, the person that has is one-owned small that has certification has to be
managing a business, that's exactly.
In a leadership position.
Exactly. He is right, and that's the same thing for like a hub zone too. You have got to be the person working, being where you say you're gonna be, and doing all that good stuff too. So there's a lot of other. She said just So SBA government contracting, SBDS is actually the government's old website. It's a small business dynamic search. They still use that for a couple of things. Set-asides, we talked about. Simplify. These were all the different types of contracts that I was mentioning before. Set-aside, simplified acquisition, sole source solicitations, source of salt. All of them have a statement of work. PCR was procurement center rep. PCR? I think that's the actual person. USA spending. I hate they changed the website. It was fantastic before. It's kind of cumbersome to use now. Operating agreement, I put that in there for other stuff. That's not for every contract. Let's see. Real quick, I'm going to go through this and then we'll close it out on the folder. Let's see, where did I go? Leadership development should be a constant in your business. Again, Bill Gates, business of the speed of thought, he said, if you're not thinking like a franchise from day one, you pretty much do not have a successful business. And to me, what that meant is you got to have processes. How many people seen the movie Founder? Have you ever seen the movie? It is fantastic. It's worth watching. It's all about processes. Matter of fact, it's all Six Sigma and performance X and stuff. And so CORE is the contracting officer represented, the contracting officer technical representative. Accounting firms, accounting firms are a big deal. Your bios become significant. Client tracking, I got a system for that. The congressional committees, I think I have a couple of folders while I was trying to research that. So there's some stuff in there about the congressional committees. And then the contracting officer itself, I have not did, and I'm looking at Donald intentionally. The defense acquisition university. Yeah, I heard that's a big deal.
They have a lot of published papers and a lot of stuff like that's publicly available.
We got a subject matter expert in the room. I heard it's a big deal. I ain't had a chance to see it. Dell Tech is expensive, so I try to figure out ways to get people to do everything that Dell Tech is doing in some way. That's that's actually one of the things that I liked about the little Excel thing that I have. GovWin, which I think now is the Dell Tech. Either way, GovWin has Dell Tech and GovWin. If you can pay the money, from what I heard, is excellent. And HR documents. If you're not big on standard operating procedures, there's a ton of templates out there. I'd go get them. I mean, every single thing you do in your business should be written down somewhere. Everything. It's just when a person's not available, a process should do. Keep up with your corporate documents. National Procurement Institute. There's all these training things. That's another thing too. Inside the SBA, a lot of their events are free, so it's worth getting into with the SBA and staying. They represent you. You got somebody working on your behalf when you ain't there. When you in there, and then SCORE. Is there anybody familiar with SCORE? Yeah. So let me tell you, in some places, SCORE has its own internal investment group. They don't. Yeah. Some of them ain't got no patience. It makes you wonder. You're like, you're a retired executive. No, but seriously, SCORE is worth. Get a lot of this stuff done with the SBA and then go back to SCORE. 58 SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research Grant.
SBIR.
Yeah, let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you personally. I'm exploring that one. And so I was told by a Department of Commerce rep at some event a couple of years ago, and that was the first time I really understood the significance of it. But they said that every government agency has a SBIR grant or contract inside of there. So in other words, if you got something new that you're offering as a process, the government will pay to experiment and see what it takes you on products and services, is what it was explained to me. And so at Georgia Tech, they got the PTACs. Well, they got the PTAC. They got a let me tell you, the PTAC somehow are tied to the SBIRs. So So and then at Georgia Tech, they got a thing called the ATDC, Atlanta Technical Development Center, something like that. They have a SBIR expert there, and it's free that I know of to go to one of her classes. So I don't know where else they would have it. Some of the colleges maybe have it, but I heard this is a pretty good thing. I've been I really have been looking at it more. I was like, man, I need to run some ideas through there. People think of the census, but you saw the NAICS codes were generated under the census. So it's not just people. They're keeping up with the dollars, keeping up with how everything's allocated out to each one of the cities. I got to tell this quick story. What are we doing the NAICS codes? This guy in Memphis that I was working with, he curiously went online and looked up his best friend's business, and using some of the NAICS codes, it came back and showed he went to the LPDS. It came back and showed that his friend's family had been making millions of dollars. He called him right on the spot, put him on the speakerphone. He said, "Y'all got the security contract in Memphis?" His friend started laughing immediately. His friend, he said, "I've been knowing you my whole life." And so he went into this whole thing that he was like, "How did you find it?" He's like, "It's right here on the thing." So the guy he was using the information while I was talking. He actually found his friend's business and how many contracts they had right there in Memphis at the time. Yeah, so yeah, it was pretty funny, but there's actually a negative to that story too. All right, see, so and contingency hires, the government classifies them in contingency. Their whole thing. Let me tell you what I found out about this, which is what I think is happening. A lot of times when people are looking for a job on LinkedIn, a lot of these federal companies, what they're doing is they're taking your profile and putting you in as a contingency hire to the contract. So their whole thing is that they ain't gonna tell you working for a federal contract. They just gonna make it seem like you working for them. So they're lining up your resume. So there's a whole contingency hire strategy thing. In other words, if we get the contract, this is who we gonna have do the contract. Is what they're using, and then they're using that person's profile to go after the contract. Remember, I said at the very beginning. I said at the very beginning that staffing was the primary reason that the government kind of puts everything in place. So the rest of this stuff is all back end stuff and all this stuff. But like I said, you'll get this folder and it's got a ton of good stuff in there and a lot of research and everything too.
The key thing is though is being able to go to some of those sites that you talked about to be able to search for procurements in your area, in your city, in your county, in your state, and then also search on companies that's doing similar type work with your next code and see what kind of see what they're doing. That kind of thing. That's a key thing to get more informed in that. And so if you're doing work in Jefferson County, you should be doing work for the state in Jefferson County, for the county in Jefferson County, for the city in Jefferson County, and the private organization in Jefferson County, and the federal work that's going on in Jefferson County. Those are your four sources for that geographic area that you can perform in, that 60-mile radius or whatever.
Anytime I do business development with people, that's one of the things I always tell them. I try to get them to think in their portfolio. How much of your business comes from these sectors? Just as John was saying. And if that person looking at me like, what you talking about? I'm like, oh, I already know you're not getting the most out of your time. Because, I mean, the process is pretty uniform. I ain't seen that many variances in the processes. But the relationship build is usually right there in that region. Right there. So it's not like you even got to drive around a lot. Now, I know folks who go back and forth to D.C. I wouldn't spend that money. I mean, you know, it's all right there, just like you're saying, that's close to you. So any other questions, comments? And hoping to do about 50 of these classes. Like Dawn said, the websites is like I say, I'm almost just.
Well, another thing is though is I'm sure you already said this, Mike, is that the site can become very cumbersome with a lot of information, email notifications. Like, you can start hundreds of them, so you got to know how to filter through all that to not waste your time.
There's no shortcut to that. There's just not. And like I said, the contracting officer told me, he said it's really internal. He said the contracting officers just do not fill that thing out right. They said that's why there's so many variances in it. They were like, you just got to get used to it.
Well, thank you, Mike, for a workshop, and we'll email it out to everybody. And if you have any questions, we'll get that back to Mike or myself, and then we'll get those questions answered.
I need those numbers, man.
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna research some of them for you right now. And I get you Eric Terrell